Alright, you lot, how's it going? Now, it occurred to me the other day that some of you beginners, by the way, I must explain first that this video is part of the beginner series for Nitro cars for beginners, Nitro RC for beginners. So, if you're experienced, or you do racing or something like that, try to control yourself, right? Because we've got to remember that we're talking at beginners, or to beginners. So they don't know anything. So we need to be calm, collected, and explain things clearly. So it did occur to me that quite a lot of you probably don't really know what a nitro engine is. So how can you be expected to understand how it works, to get it started, to tune it, to use it, to just understand it, if you don't understand it? So I thought to myself, let's have a chat with a biscuit and a cup of coffee, or whatever it is you choose to drink or eat. And talk about nitro engines. How do they work? Why do they work? What type of engine are they? And anything else that pops into my head while I'm talking about that. Right. I'm going to try and keep this brief because I don't want to have a massively long video chatting about stuff that none of you really care about. What you need to know is, why does a nitro engine, or a glow engine as they're properly called, even work? Like, it seems crazy. A tick over of a few thousand RPM, a maximum RPM of over 45,000, 48,000 in some cases. Some do go higher than that. This particular one, this 21BB Big Brock, as they called it back in the day, by today's standards, it's not really a Big Brock. They do massive ones, there's 5.9s these days and bigger. But this 21BB won't rev to 45. I think these are about 38,000 RPM maximum. But even that, even a tick over of a few thousand RPM is mad. A real full-sized engine that you get in your car, a 1 litre, 2 litre, 3 litre, even a 6 litre that you get in pickup trucks and cars, has a tick over of about 800 RPM. I know some of the modern day ones have a tick over of 1,000 RPM, but I don't really know why they do that. It seems like a load of rubbish to me, but if they've got air conditioning pumps that they run in, it's kind of rubbish. But anyway, that's mad. And the maximum RPM of one of those is about 6,000 to 8,000. Some cars do go to 9, 10 and 12, but those are more like Honda Civics and other cars like that. And I dare say you lot are probably going to comment on a load of other cars that rev higher. But my point is, it's mad. Look at the size of it. Look at the size. I haven't got one to demonstrate this out of a car, but look at the size of it. And all them RPMs are in there. You know, that's about 2cc worth of piston in there. So what type of engine is a glow engine? Now, these are called glow engines. That's what they were called when they were invented. Because, I suppose because the glow plug glows. I don't really know. Well, I do know, but I don't really know how to convey it to you as a fact, because I want to try and give facts. I think they're called glow engines because they use a glow plug, and that obviously glows. But obviously, if someone does know the true fact, then please comment, but I'm pretty sure that is the reason. Anyway, around about the 1980s, at some point in that era, big manufacturers, because they did used to advertise nitro cars on the television in America, Canada and in the UK. They were advertised. HPI, Kyosho, brands like that, advertised on the television. Mainstream telly. You don't get that nowadays. I mean, they don't even advertise alcohol and cigarettes these days, which is bonkers. I mean, why? You know, back then they advertised stuff what people wanted. Nowadays, adverts are all swindles in order to get your money. That is all adverts are these days. But back then, adverts were, look at this. We're a company and we've made a product that you're going to want. We want some money for it, obviously, but you're going to want it, and it's worth that amount of money. Basically, that's what an advert was. They just wanted to let you know if they've made a product and hope that you buy it. They don't ram it down your throat like they do nowadays. So, these companies, in order to make them sound a bit more exciting, they called them Nitro cars, Nitro monster truck, Nitro RC, Nitro engine. Now, the glow fuel, the fuel what these run on, is made with nitromethane and some other ingredients, including oil, obviously. I'll get onto that in a second. Now, because it's got nitromethane in it, they call them Nitro engines. But their real name is glow engine. So, obviously, it doesn't sound quite as appealing. It sounds a bit more geeky, doesn't it? Glow engine. Yeah, it's a glow engine. I have a glow engine car here. Whereas if you say, I've got a nitro car, it just sounds a bit more sporty, doesn't it? A bit more appealing. People are going to go, "Poh, a nitro car. God, it sounds like nitrous. That must be real cool." So that's why they've done it. And it worked. It worked because in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, nitro cars were booming. Absolutely booming. There was electric cars out there. You know, electric cars did exist and they were out there. I mean, I've sold them now, but I had a load of Mardave mini stocks and a load of other electric cars. And I had electric cars when I was a kid. A Subaru Impreza I got from Argos. Wasn't hobby grade, but it was an expensive toy grade one. There's all different ones. They were out there, electric ones, but Nitro was the place. Everybody had a Nitro car. I can remember being a kid before I even had my own one. I remember going to the park, and the parks were full of adults and children with Nitro cars, buzzing around all over the place. You couldn't go to the park on the Sunday afternoon without seeing at least one person either in the car park to the park or in the actual park with some kind of Nitro car. The particular park that I used to go to had a bloke that quite often went to the car park and he had an on-road car. I don't know what it was, but it was probably an RS4 maybe. I don't know exactly what it was. I was too young to find out. And another bloke used to go there and he had another one, but it was a go-kart. Yeah, it wasn't a car, but obviously it was a car chassis, but it was actually a go-kart one. And it had a little figure in it and everything. Now, you know, times have changed from that. You don't quite see that as often nowadays. And there are reasons for that. I don't really want to touch on that in this video because I'm supposed to be telling you how a bloody engine works. And I've already gone off on a bit of a tangent. I need to come back. Rein me back in, please. Tell me to stop rambling on about stuff which isn't relevant. Sorry. There's so much in my head that I like to talk about to you lot that sometimes I don't stick on one track. I go off. So I don't really know where I was going with what I was saying. But yeah, I was explaining how they become called Nitro. So that's why they were called Nitro cars. Now, what type of engine are they? They're a two-stroke engine. Yeah, two-cycle or two-stroke. In America, I think you call them two-cycle, don't you? Two-cycle engine. Because they cycle twice before they fire again. Whereas over here in England, we call them a two-stroke engine because they stroke twice. Which means they rely on oil in the fuel for their lubrication, same as any other two-stroke engine. The only difference two-stroke engine which doesn't rely on oil in the petrol, well, in the fuel, is a two-stroke diesel, like a Detroit diesel, and there's other brands that did do two-stroke diesels back in the day. You don't see two-stroke diesels very often anymore being made new. They've been phased out for four-stroke diesels. But there was a two-stroke diesel made. It was in loads of different applications. Tanks, lorries, bulldozers. A Terex dozer was a good one. Loads of them. And they made a lot of power. And they sounded like they were revving to the moon. Even though they weren't. Because they were two-stroke. You'll know the distinctive sound. Even if you've never heard one before, you'll know the sound of a two-stroke diesel. Anyway, going off again, haven't I? The point is, they've got a sump. They've got oil in them, so they don't rely on any oil in the diesel. Just like a normal diesel engine. But nitro engines are the same as any other two-stroke petrol, where you have oil mixed in with the petrol. Or in this case, in with the nitro. You don't have to mix it yourself. You buy it in a bottle, ready mixed. This one is a controversial one, but it's the one I've got to hand. Shoot Fuel. I know there'll be some of you racing geeks out there that you're always on my case, saying that you have to mix oil with this. Well, you don't have to mix oil with it. It comes ready mixed, but if you want to add some in. That's up to you. But my point that I'm trying to make is, you buy your bottle of nitro. In fact, just for argument's sake, just so that we don't have people arguing over it, here is a bottle of OptiFuel. This is one of the most popular brands in England, to my knowledge anyway. It used to be Model Technics fuel. It actually is a part of this. I can't remember if Model Technics own OptiFuel, or if it's OptiFuel that own Model Technics, or if it's a company outside of it that own the whole lot. Optifuel.co.uk. Anti-poisons, blimey. Anyway, that's beside the point. It's all essentially the same stuff. Yeah, different brands, companies mix it slightly different, add a different type of oil, add different ingredients, blah blah blah. Not interested in any of that. The fact of the matter is, a bottle of nitro, for your sake as a beginner, is a bottle of nitro. Okay, you need to take notice of the percentage. This particular bottle is 25%. Okay, I'm not gonna, for a minute then I was going to go into the details of the amount of oil and the amount of nitromethane in it, but I'm not going to. For your basic knowledge, which you need to know, basicness at the moment, 25%. You can get 30%, but that's becoming quite rare these days. I've got a bottle of 30. 25 in the UK is, for argument's sake, the highest that you can buy. You'll get more power out of it, more oil in it, so it'll smoke a lot more. It will be easier. This is another arguable subject, and people are more than welcome to comment, but this is my opinion. 25% is easier to tune, yeah, so you'll find it easier to get your engine running good with 25%. Higher percentages of nitro and oil will hide bad tuning. So if you were to run 30%, your engine could be running, it could actually be tuned poorly, yeah. It could be too lean. It could be running absolutely atrociously, but you won't really notice it because the amount of nitro in it, and the amount of nitromethane, and the amount of oil as well, just mask that. You know, you could have it running really lean. It won't necessarily sound very lean, and there'll be loads of smoke because the amount of oil in that fuel. Anyway, my point is, 25. The higher the percentage, the easier it will be to get your engine running well. The lower you go down in the percentages, 20, 16, I think I see a 12 ones, but 10%, 0%. The lower you go down in the percentages, the smaller that tuning window is, and the more skillful you need to be in your engine tuning in order to get that engine running adequately. But that's for a different video. Maybe I've just helped you now. So again, I went off in a bit of a tangent, I know. Anyway, so these engines rely on the lubrication from the fuel, which comes ready mixed. You ain't got to worry about it. You just buy a bottle of nitro, put it in the tank, and away you go. How do they even survive running at so many thousand RPMs? I really haven't got a clue. It's a mystery of nature. It really is. All I can say is the materials that they're made from are just strong and they're well designed. But that is how they work. Now, because they are a two-stroke engine, hopefully you can see that there. They do rely on their exhaust pipe in order to work properly. So you've got a bit of an on a two-stroke motocross bike, for example. You probably notice on the front you've got an expansion chamber. Comes out the head of the engine, curls around a bit there, and then it curl around, and then it'll go really fat and wide, curl up, and then it'll go skinny and go out to the exhaust pipe. That's the expansion chamber, and that allows the gases, because they're two-stroke, when they go out, the gases go out a little bit because there's no valves in a two-stroke engine. The same as a nitro engine, two-stroke, remember, no valves. So the fumes get, the fuel and air mixture gets burned, bang, the piston goes down, but then it wants to go out the exhaust port, right, while the piston's going down to suck in the new piece of mixed, because it goes from the carburetor into the crankcase and then gets sucked up into the combustion chamber. While the new mixed air and fuel is being sucked in to the piston, the combustion chamber, the old fumes are going out, right? But then they end up coming back in a little bit to be, how can I explain it so I don't confuse you too much? Anyway, the expansion chamber is for that. It allows that to expand and then come back in again, and then eventually it gets expelled. I think that's a good way of explaining it. Maybe it's not. Maybe if it's not, then comment and tell me I'm a twat. So this is what this pipe here does. Your manifold comes around, and this is effectively the expansion chamber. However, it's not just the expansion chamber, because an interesting fact about nitro engines is, because the fuel tanks mostly are level or below the engine, they're never above. I've had some people in the past try to tell me that nitro engines or nitro cars are gravity fed. I've had people say to me, I can't get this car running, blah blah blah. The tank's gravity fed, but it's not feeding. I'm saying it's not bloody gravity fed. How is it gravity fed? It's level with the engine. It can't be gravity fed. If it was gravity fed, it'd have to be higher than the engine. No, they're gravity fed. No. So they rely on the engine to push its own fuel. So effectively, the engine, the exhaust and the tank work together to be the fuel pump. That's what pumps the fuel. The engine, well, that's why you have to prime it before you start it. So you prime it in whatever way you want to prime it. That's another arguable topic. Priming, bloody unbelievable amount of people getting a right old tiss about priming. I like to take off the pipe here and blow down it, put pressure inside the tank, which then pushes the fuel into the carburetor, right? So you prime it, and then it runs. So what happens is, it burns that fuel that you've just put into that engine. It comes out the exhaust as a gas, goes into this expansion chamber here. Now there's a nipple, see that nipple there, right? You can tickle it a little bit if you want, it doesn't do anything, but you can do. And there's like a little baffle here. There's different designs on different exhausts. Sometimes they're like a baffle going down like that, which then directs a little bit of the gas up through that pipe. Other times there's like this thing with holes in it, but that also is a little bit of a silencer. There's also an element of silencing inside these, depending on what pipe you have. Some of them are more silenced than other ones. Tuned pipes have different things inside them. That's a different kettle of fish. All we want to know is a little bit of it is redirected up this pipe, and the rest of it goes out the end. And the bit that's redirected is gas, it's smoke, redirected up this pipe. It's hot as well, and it goes into the top of the tank. So it's gone into the top of this tank. It is important that the seal is good on that tank. Otherwise, the pressure will just come out around the seal, and you'll have a low pressure. Much like if your fuel pump on your real car was weak, you'd have low fuel pressure. Your engine won't run properly. This is the same. So we've now pressurized the tank. There's a pickup on the other side there, where obviously the fuel is picked up from the bottom of the tank. Because this pipe is pressurizing the tank, pushing the fuel up through that pipe into the carburetor. Boom! One circle of fuel has been accomplished. Now, well, that's it. There is no, that's it. So it all works together in unison. I've shown you some tricks before on how to get an engine running. You can be the pump. You can apply compressed air or just blow down the pipe. That's not for this video, it's for a different video. What else can I possibly talk about to tell you how these work? I don't really know. Right, I can't think of much more things, or many more things, that I'll be able to tell you to help you out as a beginner. However, you must remember that these don't have a spark plug, right? A lot of people get this confused. A lot of people come up to me and they say to me, or they send me a message and say, the spark plug isn't working, or how do I check the spark plug? It doesn't have a spark plug, okay? You might think, oh, it doesn't matter. Well, what's the bloody difference? There is a difference. A spark plug takes thousands and thousands of volts into it, or tens of thousands of volts in fact, and it sparks. Spark. A glow plug glows, has a little filament, little wire filament in the centre of it, and then that is grounded to the side of it as an earth, and electrical current, when you put the glow starter on it, flows through that, heating up that, much like a toaster. You know, like in a toaster, you ever looked inside a toaster and you've got the wire elements heating up? That is the same as a glow plug. Now, because they've got a coating on them, the wire filament has got a coating on it, once the engine is running, there's a reaction which happens. The combustion, the fire happening when the fuel and air is being burned, keeps that wire filament glowing, and they rely on compression as well, whereas a petrol engine will be able to run with considerably low compression because of the spark. The spark is what actually ignites the fuel on a petrol engine, so the compression can be considerably low, and because from being worn out, bad rings, whatever, and it will still run. Whereas a nitro engine, much like a diesel, relies on compression as well as the glow. So if your nitro engine's a bit worn out, or it's got a leak around the head or somewhere like that, and the compression is getting out, it ain't going to run very well because it needs that compression. The compression, when the piston comes up to the button where the glow plug is in the combustion chamber between my two hands here, the compression actually creates a lot of heat. It gets really hot as it starts to compress, and it gets to the flash point. Don't ask me what the flash point of nitro is. I don't know, do I? Right? But it gets to that flash point, and it just, along with the glow as well, obviously, from the glow plug, it gets to that, it's aided by the glow plug a bit, and it goes, pushes that piston down. And yeah, so it needs the compression now, otherwise it can't generate enough heat, and it just can't combust the nitro in the air. I think that's everything explained about a nitro engine that I think a beginner would need to know. There is more to it, you know, flywheel weights and all this other rubbish, but for a beginner, hopefully I've helped you to understand what a nitro engine is, how it works, and certain things about why it works, you know. So if maybe you're thinking about getting a nitro engine, if you're thinking about getting one, just bloody get it. Just get one. Even if you think, oh man, you know, if you're one of these people that worries about that sort of thing, oh, I might if I get one, but I don't know how it works. You can learn, my friends. You can learn. Yeah, you will learn how it works. So, and you will be able to have fun with your car. Remember, the hobby of nitro RC is the fiddling, yeah? That is it. Fiddling around, tinkering, you know, playing around with it, that is the hobby of it. A lot of people get one, and then they say, I spend more time messing around with it than I do driving it. Well, then you're in the wrong hobby, because the messing around is 50% of the actual hobby. Driving is the other percent, but they go together, because as you're driving it around, you're also tinkering with it. That's the point of it, alright? You need to understand that. But, look, I think I've explained a nitro engine well enough. If you think I haven't, please comment and tell me you are an idiot, you haven't explained it very well. And if you think I have, please tell me in the comments. Do you think I've explained it well? Do you now have a better understanding on a nitro engine. You'll also have a better understanding on an engine in general, an internal combustion engine, hopefully, but we focused primarily on nitro engines. So hopefully you've got a bit of a better understanding on how they work, so that you will be able to get your one running, or even repair your one if there's an issue with it. I have got videos, but I think I'm going to do another video covering on how the carburetor works, because I reckon, well, I know for a fact, the carburetor is one of the components on a nitro engine that a lot of you lot find troublesome, to put it kindly. You don't understand how a carburetor works, you don't understand how it does what it does and why it needs to do what it needs to do, and you end up getting frustrated with it. Whereas in actual fact, it's a very simple metering device to meter the fuel and the air. But I've got videos on it. I'm going to do another one at some point. If you want to see that, please think about subscribing, because I want to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year, by the end of 2025. If I can get to 10k, that would be amazing. I really, really appreciate that. And if you want to become a channel member and support me even more, you can just press that little join button underneath the video. And anything that you do really, really helps. And now and again, I do go down the subscription list. I pick out a subscriber and you can get an Answer RC gift voucher or a Wheelspin Models gift voucher, or I have got some other gift vouchers as well for Model Sport and some other shops. I'll sort those out. You must have your subscriptions public, so I can see that you're subscribed to this channel, and you must comment on videos so that I can see that you're an active subscriber. And I'll just pick one out and send you a gift voucher. It could be 20 quid, 50 quid, could be anything, who knows. It's my way of saying thank you to some of you lot. Anyway, thanks for watching, you lot. I hope I've helped you in some way or another. I'll catch you on the next one. Love life.